I'd do anything known to man to get in a Super Bowl. That's a fact.
A Super Bowl ring is every NFL player's dream. It signifies hard work, determination, and status.
Very special. Bring it back to the city.
Out of 32 teams, only 22 have held the Lombardi trophy, and once upon a time, the Dallas Cowboys were on a run collecting them.
Want them to know how special this is for these group of people, because
Cowboys are only the 5th team to win 2 back-to-back Super Bowls in the history of the National Football League. Become only the 2nd NFL franchise to win the Super Bowl 5 times.
This dominance, plus a ton of TV time, earned them the status as America's team, and their owner, Mr. Jerry, was loved by the city of Dallas and their fans across the world. But that quickly changed with each passing year, as the Cowboys began to fall short in the playoffs and not even make it multiple back-to-back years. But how did the Dallas Cowboys go from one of the most dominant teams the leagues have ever seen to one sorry-ass organization that their own fans can't stand to watch?
I am upset. You feel me? We need another quarterback, another coach. We need help. We need Jesus.
They say this man here has everything to do with it. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how one man destroyed an entire organization, fan base, and a city for better and for worse. In 1989, the Dallas Cowboys, once America's team, were a franchise in crisis. The team was losing nearly $1 million a month and struggling on the field with a disappointing 3-13 record the previous season. Enter Jerry Jones, a 46-year-old Arkansas oil man with a dream of owning an NFL team and a willingness to bet everything he had on that dream. The story of Jerry taking ownership began surprisingly in Mexico. While on vacation, nursing a hangover, Jerry stumbled upon a news article mentioning that the Cowboys were on sale, and this single ad would change the course of NFL history. He quickly reached out and started negotiating with H.R. Bright, who had owned the team just for 5 years and was eager to offload the financially troubled franchise. On February 25, 1989, Jerry agreed to purchase the Cowboys for 140 M's, a record-setting price at the time that included the team, Texas Stadium, and a mountain of debt. The deal was bold. Jones was investing nearly every penny he had, borrowing heavily at 11% interest, which translated to a staggering bill of almost $100,000 a day. His financial advisor begged him not to go through with it, but Jones saw potential where others saw only risk.
I'm sure everybody will be proud. Those of you who work here will be proud of his ownership and leadership.
how proud I am to have been honored by the big coach in the sky of getting an opportunity to do this. We're going to be proud to be down in Dallas, and we're going to be proud to be building with Dallas and building with Texas.
However, Jones's first major move as owner was sending shockwaves through the NFL. He wasted no time making his presence felt. Tom Landry, the only head coach the Cowboys had ever known, was fired on a Saturday. Man didn't even make it through the weekend employed.
The announcement came on Saturday night. The Dallas Cowboys were being sold for an estimated $140 million, and with the new owner was coming a new head coach.
There will be nobody with the Cowboys that doesn't give as big a piece of them, or we don't want them with the Cowboys. A man that is going to be with the Cowboys is Jimmy Johnson.
I think right now they could have done it a lot better, obviously, but...
The news broke. Fans were stunned, many feeling as if a family member had died. One young reporter covering the press conference dubbed the Saturday Night Massacre found himself fighting back tears as he scribbled down quotes. But Landry took the news with grace. "I'm not upset with what happened," he told reporters as he cleared out his desk. "I've never been one to get upset because I accept people as they are." Jones didn't stop with Landry. In his first 75 days as owner, he completely reshaped the organization, firing longtime employees and bringing in his own people. He was determined to run the Cowboys as a business and not just a hobby for a wealthy owner.
I'm basically a businessman.
The backlash was immediate and intense. Jerry was criticized in the local media, portrayed as an outsider who dumped a Texas legend.
And this is just a classless act.
Going back to the word class, Buddy Ryan of Philadelphia's got more class than our new owner, Jerry Jones.
But Jones didn't shy away. He saw the move as necessary to revitalize the struggling franchise. Years later, this decision would come to haunt him when he was asked what was his biggest regret since becoming owner.
Right from the get-go, I would have done the Tom Landry thing differently. We made the change there. It came across as being disrespectful, that came across as being cold.
But Jones wasn't done shaking things up. He quickly hired Jimmy Johnson, his former college roommate, as the new head coach. This move, while controversial at the time, would prove to be the foundation of the Cowboys' resurgence. But Jerry's hands-on management style and tendency to micromanage raised eyebrows across the league. Here was a man with no formal sports management experience, making bold decisions and challenging the status quo of how an NFL team should be ran. This approach marked as a significant shift in the NFL landscape. Jones wasn't just content at being a laid-back owner. He wanted to be involved in every aspect of the team's operations, from player personnel decisions to marketing strategies.
I intend to have an understanding of the player situation. I intend to have an understanding of jocks and socks, and I intend to have an understanding of TV. There's no way that I can look in the mirror if I don't understand and be a part of everything.
As the '89 season approached, Jerry found himself at the helm of one of the most storied franchises in sports history, facing enormous financial pressure, a skeptical fan base, and a league that wasn't quite sure what to make of this newcomer. Little did anyone know that this would be the beginning of a new era that will reshape not just the Dallas Cowboys, but the entire NFL. This approach extended beyond personnel decisions. Jerry lobbied to change the liquor laws in Irving, Texas, so he could sell beer and wine at the Texas Stadium. He revamped the stadium suites to make them more marketable and increase the visibility of the Cowboys cheerleaders. A few could have predicted the roller coaster ride that was about to unfold. The team's first season under Jones's ownership was nothing short of disastrous. With a 1-15 record, it seemed that the once mighty Cowboys had hit rock bottom. But Jones was not a man to accept defeat. He had a vision, and he was determined to see it through beside his new head coach, Jimmy Johnson, and the two began to rebuild the team from the ground up. The duo's first major move was drafting quarterback Troy Aikman with the first overall pick in the '89 draft. This decision would prove to be the cornerstone of the Cowboys' future success. In the following years, they added more key pieces to the puzzle: running back Emmitt Smith in 1990 and wide receiver Michael Irvin, who had been drafted just before Jones's arrival. They will later be dubbed the Big Three. As these young stars began to gel, the Cowboys' fortunes started to turn. By '91, the team was showing signs of life, finishing with an 11-5 record and making the playoffs for the first time in Jones's tenure. Then came 1992. The Cowboys, now a finely tuned machine, steamrolled through the regular season and playoffs, then dominating in the Super Bowl over the Buffalo Bills. Jones and Johnson had done the unthinkable. They had returned America's team to glory in just 4 short years. The success continued. The Cowboys repeated as champions in 1993, again defeating the Bills in the Super Bowl. The team he had purchased for 140 M's, value was skyrocketing. However, as the team's success grew, so did the tension between Jones and Johnson. Jerry, never one to shy away from the spotlight, began to assert himself in more football operations.
Do you respect his football knowledge?
Yeah, I respect Jerry's football knowledge as an owner.
But you don't respect him as an equal? Then I'm inferring to you in terms of football knowledge and judgment.
I know because I have spent 30 years, learning what I know right now.
Certainly, if Jimmy, in any way, personality-wise, was so offensive to me that I couldn't live with it, then we'd make changes.
He famously declared that any one of 500 coaches could have won those Super Bowls, a statement that would cut Jimmy to the core. The relationship between owner and coach deteriorated rapidly. Jimmy, who had prided himself on his football knowledge, cringed at Jones's increasingly involvement. The breaking point came in March 1994, just months after their second Super Bowl victory. In a late-night conversation at an NFL owners meeting, Jones publicly undermined Jimmy's role in the team's success.
Jerry and Jimmy, owner and coach, enemies in what amounts to a bitter power struggle between men of huge egos fighting for control over the team they share. This all started when Jones muttered something about firing Johnson after drinking the night away at the recent owners meetings in Orlando. He even named former Oklahoma University coach Barry Switzer as a possible replacement. Jerry later backed off, but by then, Jimmy was steamed.
The next morning, Jimmy was on his way out of Dallas. It was like a divorce, one Cowboy player said at the time. We were the kids caught in the middle, not sure what was going to happen next.
There was never any jealousy between Michael, Emmitt, me, any of the guys. We all sacrificed. We all gave up something to be good and to win. But the two guys leading the organization, they didn't, and they couldn't. And yet they were the ones telling us that's what we needed to do.
Were you mad or disappointed at Jimmy?
I was probably more upset at Jerry for allowing it to happen. People would come in trying to get interviews. I mean, I was off the chain. I was throwing garbage cans at the people. They would come in trying to get out of this locker room and throwing garbage cans, and I was just so upset.
Jerry, determined he could win without Jimmy, quickly hired Barry Switzer as the new head coach.
Same players, same playbook, same assistants, just a different head coach.
Barry, another of Jones's college friends, was a successful college coach but had never coached in the NFL. This move signaled a clear shift in Jones's priorities. He wanted a coach who would listen to his authority, someone who understood that the Cowboys were Jerry's team. As he put it, "I want a coach who will look at me and say, Jerry, let's do it your way." The Barry Switzer era began with promise. The Cowboys didn't miss a beat on the field. The first year they went 12-4, losing in the NFC Championship. Then the signing of Deion Sanders, a defensive superstar, seemed to cement the Cowboys' dominance.
The stadium, Sanders with his family after signing a 5-year, $35 million deal with an almost $13 million signing bonus.
You guys say, is he worth it or that's too much money? It could have been greater, but I truly wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy.
They captured their third Super Bowl win in 4 years in 1995, cementing their status as the team of the decade.
I tell you, we did it our way, baby! We did it!
Let's go back.
Yet, even as they hosted the Lombardi Trophy in 1995, whispers circulated that this was still Jimmy's team. Critics labeled Barry as a puppet coach, installed by Jerry to maintain control. As one former player put it, Barry was a great motivator, but everyone knew who was really calling the shots. Yet, for all the success, there were raised eyebrows. Many wondered what might have been if Jones and Johnson had found their way to work together. The early years of Jones' ownership were a testament to both the heights of success and the pitfalls of ego in professional sports. As the dust settled during this period, one thing was clear: Jerry Jones, with the help of Jimmy, had transformed the Dallas Cowboys. Whether you love him or hated him, there was no denying his impact. The Cowboys were once again America's team, and Jones was the man pulling the strings. In the wake of their '95 Super Bowl victory, the Dallas Cowboys stood atop the NFL world. But as the confetti settled, so did the realization that the dynasty was beginning to crumble. The post-dynasty era of 1996 to 2009 will prove to be a disappointing period for America's team, marked by questionable decisions, missed opportunities, and a struggle to recapture their former glory.
You know, people ask, hey, if Jimmy had stayed, how many more Super Bowls would you have won? And I don't know. Maybe no more. You know, maybe a lot more. I don't know. But what I do know is that we would have been really good for a long time.
As the years wore on, the Cowboys' performance began to decline. The team that had once struck fear into the hearts of their opponents had struggled to maintain consistency, and the revolving door of coaches began to spin.
I think Troy didn't like the way my style versus Jimmy's style. I knew that.
Chan Gailey replaced Barry in 1998, only lasting 2 seasons before giving away to Dave Campo.
Start with some big news out of the Big D, as Cowboys coach Chan Gailey has been fired today after just 2 years with the team.
Dave Campo has been elevated from the position of defensive coordinator to head coach.
Each coaching change brought new hope, but the results on the field remained inconsistent. The early 2000s were difficult for Cowboy fans. The team posted 3 consecutive 5-11 seasons under Campo, a far cry from their destiny years. In 2003, Jones made a bold move, hiring Bill Parcells as head coach. Parcells, known as the Big Tuna, brought instant credibility and a no-nonsense approach. For a brief moment, it seemed that the Cowboys might recapture their former glory, but even Parcells couldn't fully put the pieces back together, and he departed after the 2006 season, leaving Jones once again searching for answers. Behind the scenes, Jerry was calling the shots as his role as the GM. His decisions began to shape the team's future, for better and worse. As one NFL analyst noted, Jerry's ego started getting in the way of building a winning team. He wanted to prove he could do it without Jimmy Johnson's football smarts. Since purchasing the team in 1989, Jerry has been a larger-than-life figure in the NFL landscape. His business smarts is undeniable, having turned a $140 million investment into a $10 billion empire. But as the years have passed without a Super Bowl appearance, fans and analysts alike started to question whether Jones's priorities truly align with winning football games.
Would you rather be remembered as a great and bold businessman or as a great football guy?
Oh, I think my life is both. And that stadium, could have been built for half the money. That stadium was built for television.
Even some players speak from the surreal experience of being a part of America's team, where media attention and endorsement deals can sometimes seem more important than what is actually happening on the field. One player saying, playing for the Cowboys is like being on a reality TV show. Sometimes you forget you're here to win football games, not to be famous. One of the most persistent criticism of Jerry is his refusal to hire traditional GM.
I think the Cowboys have had two general managers, Tex Ram and me. Two in the history. You look around the NFL, but I'll bet you they've had 30. From the day that we walked through the door, that I knew that I was going to have to be responsible for any and everything that went on.
You've also won one playoff game in 15 years, so what makes you believe it's still in this team's best interest?
I think that I know how our organization runs, and I know the best way to make decisions and for us, and that's the best way.
This stubbornness has led to a series of questionable draft picks and free agent signings that have left the team in a repetitive cycle of almost there. Let's go back to the 1989 draft, which stands out as a pivotal moment. With the 8th overall pick, the Cowboys faced a choice of selecting Randy Moss, electrifying wide receiver with some off-field concerns, or opt for a safer pick in defensive end Greg Ellis. And for some reason, Jerry chose Ellis and skipped over Randy, and Randy will go on to have a Hall of Fame career, while Greg, who was decent, never reached such heights. And I believe Randy had the Cowboys circled on the schedule that year, because what he did to them was something crazy. This game was probably one of the best Thanksgiving performances of all time. In 2000, Jerry continued to make questionable moves by trading 2 first-round picks for wide receiver Joey Galloway. It was a hefty price for a player who would struggle with injury and never truly live up to the expectations in Dallas. But I can say not all of Jerry's decisions were misses. However, in 2004, the Cowboys signed an undrafted free agent named Tony Romo, hoping to recapture the magic of the Aikman years. As the decade wore on, Jerry's bold moves continued. In 2008, he traded a 1st, 3rd, and 6th round pick for wide receiver Roy Williams, a move that would be widely criticized as an overpay. That same year, he took a chance on Pac-Man Jones, a talented but troubled cornerback whose off-field issues would derail his career. Throughout this period, critics argued that Jerry Jones's ego was interfering with the team's success. His desire to be seen as the architect of the Cowboys' success was leading to impulsive decisions and a lack of long-term planning. Yet, through it all, Jones stood on all 10 behind his decisions by saying, "The facts are I've spent 30 years doing this and I've made a lot of bad decisions. I've made a lot of good ones. But there's nobody in the United States that have made more football decisions than I have over the last 30 years. Nobody." As the 2000s drew to a close, the Cowboys had become a symbol of unfulfilled potential. Jerry Jones continued to promise a return to greatness, but as the team entered a new decade, the question remained: could America's team reclaim its throne, or has the game passed them by? 2010, enter Jason Garrett, a former Cowboys backup quarterback who Jones believed could lead the team back to his promised land, after Wade Phillips couldn't get the guys past a divisional round the previous years. During Jason's time as head coach from 2010 to 2019 became a symbol of the Cowboys' modern era, full of promise, yet ultimately unfulfilling. Despite flashes of brilliance, the team consistently fell short in the playoffs, leaving many to question why Jones kept Jason at the helm for so long. But Jerry said Jason was like family, hinting at loyalty that some critics argue was holding the team back. This loyalty, however, didn't always extend to players and other coaches, but we all know why Jason was there for almost a decade, because it was easy for Jerry to have his own way and not have an alpha head coach to stand their ground. In 2011, the hiring of defensive coordinator Rob Ryan raised eyebrows. Jones, for the decision, said Rob's going to bring some excitement to our defense, but that excitement, however, didn't translate to on-field success. In his first season, the Cowboys were ranked 14th in yards per game and 16th in points per game. 2012, they were ranked 19th in yards per game and 24th in points per game, while only being ranked 16th in sacks. The 2012 draft also saw Jerry make bold moves, trading up to select DB Morris Claiborne. Jerry said that he was the best defensive player he had seen since Deion Sanders, but Claiborne never lived up to the hype, and the cost of 2 high draft picks haunted the team for years. Perhaps no decision was more controversial than the 2015 signing of Greg Hardy. Despite Hardy's history of domestic violence, Jones defended the move, saying, "We believe in second chances." The backlash was immediate and intense, with every fan feeling Jones had crossed the line in pursuit of on-field talent, and this is what they had to deal with.
Greg Hardy slapping at the clipboard of special teams coordinator Rich Bisaccia. How do you deal with a guy like this in your locker room?
Well, you got to address it head on.
No comment. Next question. No comment. Next question. No comment. Next question. No comment. Next question. Any other questions? No comment. Any other questions?
The following year, Jones made another questionable decision, investing heavily in a running back, Ezekiel Elliott, before securing a franchise quarterback. While Elliott proved to be a star, the move seemed to prioritize short-term gains over long-term stability. Jones' unwavering support of the running back, even as his production declined, raised eyebrows across the league. In 2017, Jerry defended Zeke during his 6-game suspension for DV allegations. Jones went as far as threatening legal action against the NFL, creating tension between him and Commissioner Roger Goodell. These controversies highlight a recurring criticism of Jones' management style, that he often prioritized on-field talent over character concerns and the team's public image.
Do you think Ezekiel will be suspended at all next season? No? Not even a game?
His hands-on approach often led to friction with players and coaches. The departure of fan favorite Dez Bryant in 2017 was particularly messy, with Bryant publicly criticizing Jerry's management style. "It's personal," Dez said at the time, hinting at the complex relationships Jerry fostered within the organization.
I'm not satisfied. Not saying that I'm not satisfied with what I got. I think it just makes me want to go harder.
I've never seen anybody just pout to the extent that they wouldn't do it over this kind of money.
As the sun begins to set on another disappointing season for the Cowboys, the spotlight once again turns to the man at the helm, Jerry Jones. The owner, GM, team president, who once brought glory to America's team, now finds himself at the center of growing frustrations among fans and critics. From 140 M's to over $10 billion, Jerry has transformed the franchise into a financial juggernaut. But as the team's bank account continued to rise, its on-field success has done the complete opposite, leaving many saying Jerry Jones is the Cowboys' biggest problem.
That I think the best path forward for the Cowboys to win is for Jerry to get his ass out the way.
At 82 years old, Jerry remains a force of nature. His energy and passion for the Cowboys seems undiminished by time or disappointment. "I've made my money, I've had a lot of fun, but I'm here to win," said Jerry. Yet, as the championship drought stretches into its third decade, many wonder if Jerry's tight grip on the franchise hurts more than helps. It seems like the Cowboys' future is going to be tied to the Jones family forever. Stephen Jones, Jerry's son, has taken on an increasingly prominent role in the recent years. As executive vice president and COO, Stephen has become the voice for reason to his father's doings. But will Stephen be the one to bring change that many fans crave? Stephen said he doesn't think about what he will do if or when he eventually takes over as GM. "I want to enjoy every moment with my father." However, the whispers for change are loud. Some within the organization hope that Stephen might modernize the team's management structures, perhaps bring in a true football mind as GM. But Jerry's shadow looms large. His legacy as the man who brought 3 Super Bowls to Dallas in the 90s is both a blessing and a curse. It's a standard that has proven impossible to replicate, yet one that Jerry seems unwilling to relinquish control in pursuit of. As we look into the future, the Cowboys stand at the edge. Can they evolve and adapt to the modern NFL, or will they remain tethered to the past? Will Stephen Jones be the agent for change, or will he simply follow his father's footsteps? One thing is for certain, the eyes of the football world remains fixed on Dallas. The Cowboys, love them or hate them, are still America's team. And as long as Jerry Jones is still in office, they will continue to be one of the most fascinating, frustrating, and captivating franchises in all of sports. And another thing, as long as there's a star on the helmet, there will be drama in Dallas. And Jerry Jones, for better or worse, will be right in the middle of it all.